we are going to be discussing a new interface to ensure quality control for your short-term count data. So this is the short-term count analysis tool, and it is a visual way to kind of micro-analyze your short-term counts as they come in, and also importantly, allow you to do things like purge at the hourly level, which so far has been unsupported in Jackalope. So this is, we needed an interface to do that. This had been on the drawing board. This was on the to-do list forever. We had the code. Basically, this was a New York project that we did for them. So we actually had the code. It was just a matter of getting it into Jackalope. And it allowed us to, like I said, affect purges and also do a lot of cool things with visualizing your data. This is analogous to AID. If people use the AADT decision environment, it's there to QC your short-term count data, but at a slightly higher level. You're not actually looking at hourly volumes throughout the day and how they compare day to day. You're looking at kind of the summary, and you're looking at history. So this is more detailed, basically. The process is the same. So you submit the data into Jackalope. We have all of our automated QC stuff that we do, which hopefully is good enough, but isn't always. You can confirm that data through CAT or AID. And then you can, just like within AID, you can create notes and flag it or purge it or do what you need to do directly from here. Yeah, I didn't think I had many slides for this. All right, so let's check it out. Actually, I'm going to go to Idaho. Let's see here. All right,
so while you're going there, I'll give you a pep talk. Steven says, using graphics to check data and visually review is a great idea.
Woohoo! That's good. What a fly that's bugging me. JID dev. I'm here, right? I still have internet.
Yeah,
hello?
I hear you.
All right. Well, I don't know why we all of a sudden lost connectivity. That's okay. Plan B. We're going to use this one. So you can get to CAT in the same way that you can AID by going through the file submission dialog. Unfortunately, we probably don't have any short-term counts over here. Who knows? Who knows? We're just
Joe, do you want me to get onto the machine and make sure we've got Tomcat running for JID Dev? If you are...
It really doesn't matter. I was just going to show you that you could see sites, the sites that you click here, just like you can in AID. There's a short-term count analysis tool button here, but because those were continuous data that didn't get bound, it's actually not going to show up with anything, but that's okay. We can do this. This is actually very similar to what AID looks like, at least on the left. We're going to go through and just pick some data. So this is the site selection that allows you to pull in the sites here. And we're going to be able to look at
I just want to mention, if this is Minnesota, there won't be as much hourly if that's the database you're using. So
yeah, I know. There's okay. Yeah, I'm aware. That's why I wanted to use Idaho. But okay. There is some, so we're good. I'll just have to probably click more often. I mean, if you want to see why JID dev's not up, that is a better environment.
I'll go check it out while you're doing that.
Okay, so this is what it looks like here. So we have our site list over here on the left. When you click on a site, you get a list of counts that show up historically here. I'm just going to go back to this one because we actually had data. And then when you click on a particular year, you get the different data types that are associated with this count. So in this situation, we have 3 data types: volume, class, and speed. And then when you do that, you get a list of views. In this case, we just have one. We have a directional view that shows what the data is going to look like. And the views really control everything. This is super flexible. You can let's see, you can change the chart type. So we're just looking at lines here, but you could do, I don't know, line. I think that's just rounded. Yeah, that's just rounded. You can change the chart type to whatever you like. You could have marker symbols, if you wanted that to look like circles. You could change what's being displayed. Currently, we're seeing both directions, but you could just look at roadway totals or all lanes.
I stopped the debugger on SF2, which may have been what was interrupting you, and I am now able to see JID dev. You can try.
Okay. Did I spell it wrong? No, that's right. Yay. All right, this is probably better. Raymond, where are you? Raymond's my short-term count guy. Every time I want to get a short-term count, I know who to contact. Except those are all bad. I had one picked, and I obviously picked the wrong one. All right, if this isn't right, it doesn't matter. We're just going to go check it out.
Those say TM, maybe turning movement. Okay.
This is okay. These are all errored out, but that's fine. That's actually good because we can see the error. Okay, so going back in history, so the same thing. There were 4 sites that were submitted and 4 sites that had data. So those are the 4 that showed up here. Our count list for this first site here, we just have 2 years. We have one from 2021, and then we have one from 2018 that, doesn't have any directional data. That's okay. And I bet it doesn't have any lane data either. No. Okay, it's probably a roadway count. That's fine. So let's go back to this original one. And so if you have years and years of history in the system, you'll see all that here, and you can flip back and forth between years. I was looking at the view list. So yeah, we were just looking here. You could do things like only show weekdays. So your graphs look a little bit, you could see weekdays usually behave the same and they look similar. So if you're doing a 7-day count, maybe you want to have 2 different views, one that shows weekdays and one that shows weekends, so that you have you're kind of doing apples to apples kind of thing. If it's class data, you can collapse the bins. So if you just want to see aggregates of 2 bins, 3 bins, 4 bins, you could do that. Here's where it gets flexible. This is where you have 4 dimensions basically. Let's go to class data. We need more dimensions. So here we have 4 dimensions. On the row is the hour. On the column are the days of week. And our first selector is bins. So this popped up here because we had something in that first selector. And if there was another, the only other one would be lanes. We could, if this were lane data, we would have a second selector there. So there's 4 dimensions that you can completely customize and then save these views for later. So that, so you would set up your own views and they would all show up here and you're good to go. With regards to views, because it's kind of, not everybody would want to do that, it's possible to create global views. Global views are views that would be set up by an administrator on your side. And they would just they would pick all the views available here and then make them global views there. And then anybody that logged in would see those particular views. There are roles that you can assign that would, for purging. So if only certain roles can purge, you can select that here. And same with creating notes. If you just want a particular type of user to be able to create a note, then that would be that. You could make a default view for that data type. So remember, there could be more than one view here. If you want one to be the default, you would flip that. And then you could flip the series access. Like you might want to have bins across the top if it's class data, and then hours. But you might still want your graph to be, you know, bins across the bottom or something. And so you can flip the series if you want, and this will then be flipped with that. I'm going kind of fast. Is there any questions that I haven't noticed?
I'll make sure to tell you I don't see any now, but I am keeping an eye on the chat for you.
Okay. Stephen was just saying stuff. Thank you, Stephen. So when you click on an individual hour, you'll get the hourly details here. This happens to be 60-minute, but if it were 15-minute, you would see 15-minute stuff here. I already showed you, you would go over the bins here. You can find all your class reports here, or actually volume reports if you had volumes selected. Let's see. Okay. And then, so that's the class report. Nothing super exciting there. You can add, of course, just like you can anywhere else, you can create a note. Oops, so there are no site groups in my database. You know, just like you can anywhere else, and give it a particular flag. If you want to purge it, you can do that here. If you, this will purge the entire count as opposed to just purging a couple hours, or do any of the other types of data note things there. Let me go to, I'm gonna go crazy here. Let's find more, no, not that your data isn't interesting, Raymond, but let's get something with more days. I have regrets.
Well, one thing, Nevada counts 7 days and Nevada counts every year, I think, so you could really get a lot there.
All right, well, let's just finish this out here. It's
okay.
So you could, does anybody mind if I purge in Nevada, or should I do it locally? This is Nevada Dev.
Yep, you're good to do that. Stephen's asking the group, who does 7-day counts? Maybe people could reply in the chat if you do. We know Nevada does, but anyone else who does could chat.
You can go through the arrows. I'm doing that now. So that works. Okay. So you can purge at the hourly level, and there is some stuff we need to explain here. Once you do that, you can save it. It's going to ask you if you want to propagate that purge to other data types. So if we purge the class, it would ask you if you wanted to also purge the volume. So let me explain real quickly what happens. So when you purge an hour at a directional level, which is what we're doing now, it automatically also purges the roadway for that hour, because you can see here at 7, whoops. So you can see here at 7, you wouldn't want the roadway to be 409, right? So we actually purge, I'm probably off by 514 rather. You wouldn't want the roadway to be 514, so we go ahead and purge the roadway when you purge the direction. And then we also do the same for the lanes. So anything in the southeast lanes, when you purge the 7 o'clock hour, it's also purging the lanes. And that's across, so if we go to class now,
I have some questions for you, Joe, when you're at a point.
that's fine. Christy asks, what does the first hour, oh, that means it's a partial hour. Yeah, this is something that needs to be documented. Or we could actually, it was occurring to me earlier, we should put that here, because when you click on an hour, the hour details here, part of the requirements for something we were doing was that the partial hours didn't show up at all, but it's a better solution solution is to show what's there, but make it very clear that this is an incomplete interval.
There's also a question above from Jorge.
I think I answered that. Yes, so you can scroll through using the arrow keys. So I'm just using my arrow keys right here. Except, crap, I just forgot what I purged. And I don't suppose anybody remembers what side I was on. Probably not. We'll just purge again. We'll go crazy. It's like, although I don't really need to have it purged to explain this, except to say that when you go to the class, of course, it's purging across, and you're in volume, it purges across all bin schemes. And likewise, when you purge in class, currently, or well, probably never, you cannot just purge cars for an interval. It requires that you purge, it will automatically purge all binning schemes from the same hour, if that makes sense. When you purge, it does tell you who purged it and when. One of the things we still need to do before it's done is give the ability to add a description and possibly even force a description. That's intended to be a user setting. Whether users are forced to enter a description of why they purged that. And currently you can purge and then unpurge here, but you can't currently unpurge here, so that's another thing that needs to be done. But eventually you'll just be able to roll this back and unpurge the data that you purged earlier. Let's see, the site info is similar to other places where you just tell what site fields are displayed, and then that's saved by the users or by your user. So each site, let's go to speed limit now with that. So each user has their own set of attributes that they save, and it'll always be here next time you come in. So now we see speed limit is 35. You can export the grids, and it'll go to Excel. Hello. Excel's just gonna sit there bounce for a while. It'll eventually open up. Yeah. Currently, it's only doing one direction, so that's another thing that needs to be fixed. But another way just to export your data. I believe that's all. This was a quick one. Aren't we lucky? Does anybody, first of all, does anybody have any questions? Also, I'd be interested to hear if anybody has any suggestions or if they think they'd use this as part of their daily workflow.
I was just going to mention that I had sent the white paper out with our last release. So the white paper with our user guide and release notes. So some people might have just seen the white paper, but hadn't maybe gone in and used it. So in the last release, Joe, it had some of this functionality out there for people. And I think Raymond used it a little. I don't know about others.
Okay. I will
Joe,
say.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's Rob at Wisdot. Under view list, whenever I click on a site, I get directional, flip directional, lane, and roadway. And I can't see, it defaults to directional, which most of our accounts are roadway. Is there a way to move roadway to the top? It appears that I can, but it doesn't stay
So
there. Do anything.
This is working, the default view.
I have, so on the top, mine says roadway. When I put it in, save view, not see, does not work. It goes back to directional.
Okay. Well, like I said, we're still debugging this, so that's good to
Sure.
know. We'll make it clear. And it really needs to go through the ringer. It's never really been through our huge test process. But it's
Okay.
all the functionality is there for the most part, but we're just, yeah, I didn't actually realize people were using it, so that's great to hear, Rob.
Yeah, I use it a lot. I just get a little frustrated sometimes. Wait, why is there no data? And oh yeah, I got to just click down there. It's a one button click, but if I could move it to the top of the list and it defaulted to that, I would be happy. So
Yeah, because that's a pain. That was the whole reason we did that. And it should, once you're on something like Lane, which it's not going to show up anything, I think, right? It should stick there. So like if I go to another site, it should go back to Lane. So you're, yes, the first time, but yeah, it would be nice if that checkbox ought to work. So, okay.
I actually think we have some JIRAs out there created for cat stuff that are still outstanding, but I'll make notes about that. I'll make sure we don't already have a JIRA for it, and if not, then I'll create one.
Yeah, we might need to pick Rob's brain. It's not like we're not going to pick it for all the other things too. So he's actually using it. And I think we should make the asterisk thing a JIRA. That we actually put something useful over here.
Gotcha.
Instead of what it is. That's not an asterisk, but if it were. And I did forget to mention this. A lot of our newer UIs are going to have this, where you can check a checkbox and it links with the sitemap, with our sitemap that I'll be showing tomorrow in both directions. So if you have the sitemap open and you click a site, this will navigate to that site. And then vice versa. If you click a site here, it will change your sitemap site. So it just kind of allows you to both spatially and numerically, I guess, go through your sites. That was much faster than I thought. I'm glad it was the last session of the day. Vicky, I may have missed this, but is this currently in test? So it's in our, it's not really in your production probably, or if it is, it's probably really buggy. You know, Catherine? I don't.
Yes, everyone got it in our last release in its state that it was in. And
yeah.
with the note to all, this is just there and it's there.
Yeah, I don't think it was our intent to make it production ready, just kind of letting you see it.
Right.
Where this is, we're going to be making it production ready. So I think the answer, Vicky, is no, you don't have it in production, but it, for you in Idaho, this is available in your dev version that you've got.
It's on everyone has this. It's there.
But the buggy-less one, buggy-ish list, is that a word? Is in dev.
It's never been, we haven't grafted any fixes to anybody's productions. So they have it in the state that it was when the last release was created.
Right, so if you want to test it, it'd be preferable if you do it in dev or test, one of our devs or tests. Because there have been improvements since then.
Nicholas is asking if you do hourly purges there, does it create new validation checks?
No. That's probably not a bad idea though. I think the answer, the short answer is Nicholas, or is no, Nicholas. But so the idea being, okay, we had an error. I'm gonna go ahead and trim the last whatever hours, hit save. You know, does it basically rerun the QC, remove that error, you know, potentially create new QC depending on what you've purged. It's not a bad idea. We'll have to think about that. Steven says, I did notice a more than 48-hour count, and sometimes these extra hours are partial hours, which you would remove, but if you had full extra hours, it is best to always leave those unportable counts. Having the extra 2 to 5 hours that may be on because an extra time. Yeah, I actually agree, Stephen. I'm just doing this as an example. I agree, you shouldn't just purge stuff just to make it fit a 48-hour window. As you know, in Jackalope, a short-term count can be whatever length, and we figure it out. Yeah, no worries. And so in my example, I wasn't intentionally trying to make it exactly 48 hours. That wasn't my desire. It would just be an example of, oh, the hose came up in this lane and let's just remove it. In which case it would remove it, you know, directions and roadways and all. So if that makes sense. If I'm understanding your question, you're saying don't remove good hours just because it doesn't fit a 48-hour mold. Yep, agreed. Okay. Well, if there aren't any more questions, again, this will be in production ready in version 7, which, like Catherine mentioned, will be the new year-ish. And hopefully you can make it as part of your workflow if it's helpful.